earthvox podcast. The earthvox podcast. earthvox podcast.
Oh my goodness. What a week. What a week. There's so much to cover. Are we going to do 2 hours again? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm all by myself. I need to check in. I need to check in with the stream and see what sort of tragedies have befallen me again this week. So far, it seems like everything is going well. Hallelujah, please. Send me a message if something is askew. My wife took my kids to a child's birthday party. Doesn't that sound fun? It's the bane of my existence. I'm not talking about that. I have way too many other things to get into, and I got to make sure I don't close this grok conversation because I'm talking about some people today, as you can tell from the show description. It's a little bit what do you call it? Not clickbaity, but like SEO keywords. Like I'm trying to raise visibility. All right, so help me out. Share the show. Give me a like. Give me a nice rate and review. Leave a comment. Because all of these things help boost the show, make it more visible. I drank my coffee too fast. About 10 minutes ago, I just chugged my second cup of coffee, and I'm about a third of the way through my third cup of coffee. So, I don't know. That's probably in terms of professional practices. You're probably supposed to not eat a certain number of minutes or hours before you go live or drink. I don't know where coffee falls into that equation, but I got to have it. I stay up too late on the weekends. And then I wake up foggy and I chug coffee. So I can get in here and try to be entertaining, if nothing else. Jimmy Kimmel's coming back. I'm sure we're all shocked to learn that. Because, honestly, I was myself shocked. Because what he said to get himself canceled about, over the Charlie Kirk situation, not really all that terribly offensive. I think it was more of a dig at Donald Trump. Here, we'll just bring.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So imagine. I would like to think if I was in Jimmy Kimmel's position, I don't know. He's been doing this for what, 12 years? 15 years? I would like to think that at a certain point, he's just kind of letting other people do the work. So somebody brings him. Holy smokes. Are you ready to feel old? Jimmy Kimmel Live premiered on January 26th, 2003. He still seems new. Because it was always Leno and Letterman when I was a kid. Not that I ever really cared about late night hosts. The point is, somebody is aggregating this information for him. Somebody's typing it up and putting it on a teleprompter, likely. And I don't think that not only what he said wasn't that horrifically offensive, it was probably put together based on the information that they had at the time. And sure, a little bit of cognitive dissonance, a little bit of believing what you want to believe versus what the facts bear out. Let's listen to the rest of it.
Between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, You can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks.
So it's been rumored, and I don't know if this is confirmed, but it's been rumored that that question was actually asked in a different setting and then edited over this video where he's standing near the helicopter where it's very loud and he couldn't hear what was being said. That's kind of the other explanation. That's it. But do we need the rest of it? Oh, I wasn't sharing. Oh, okay. Wait, what? What is happening? Again, can't win. Now my windows are closed. This is perfect. We're off to a grand start. All right, start over. Do I have another window open? I'm just kidding. We're not really starting over. That's what I want. Why is that hidden? Oh, it was sharing. Fantastic. Or it's sharing now. Goodness. Okay, just to be safe. Let's listen to. I love it. It's so exciting. The question to President Trump again. Listen carefully. Notice the sounds of the room. There's definitely room sounds behind the question that this reporter is asking, yet they're outdoors.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half?
So when you're outside, there's nothing nearby to reflect the sound. I can, and maybe this is because of my professional background, I can hear the sound of a room being recorded while this guy is asking the question. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why the outrage, and they've somehow managed to keep it quiet. But he's coming back. I personally, I mean, think what you want about Jimmy Kimmel. My opinion is and has been that he is playing a character. He comes from the same place that people like Adam Carolla have come from. So it seems pretty bizarre that he would have these radical leftist political opinions. Of course, the whole point of the leftist movement thus far, I think, is to radicalize people and brainwash them and make them believe the propaganda that they're spewing. So he's a circus clown. What a good circus clown he is. What an exemplary court jester he is for the globalist tyrants. But then how could you cancel this person that's been doing your bidding since, well, I mean, I don't know. He probably didn't come right out of the gate with the globalist propaganda. But since 2003, 22 years plus. And he says some pretty harmless stuff. I mean, it was wrong. But there's a lot of context to include there to just have him be outright canceled. But they brought him back. They announced he was going to be returning last Wednesday. And then the affiliates were up at arms. This headline from People magazine: Jimmy Kimmel will not air on Sinclair stations after top ABC affiliate demanded host apologize. And he said he wasn't going to. He was defiant. Not gonna. So the local affiliate said, well, fine, then you're not coming back. We're not going to play your filth. We're not going to play your propaganda. We're not going to air it. We won't Not on my TV station. They say these like, it's so weird. ABC is the massive, American Broadcasting Corporation is what ABC stands for. But then there's these other networks, organizations, institutions, Sinclair Broadcasting Group, and Nexstar Media Group. According to Grok, temporarily refused to air Jimmy Kimmel Live despite their affiliation contracts with NBC. I was wondering, how can they get away with this? Aren't they contractually obligated to air the content that ABC is providing to them? I mean, most of the time, like if you're franchising a McDonald's, you can't just sell whatever food you you decide to cook at a McDonald's. You got to sell McDonald's food, unfortunately. These contracts, according to Grok, generally obligate affiliates to broadcast network programming, but stations retain the right to preempt national shows for local content, emergencies, and other discretionary reasons. So that explains that interesting development, at least interesting to me. They didn't want to air it because Jimmy Kimmel was defiant. He refused to apologize, but then, in typical Jimmy Kimmel fashion,
a lot about what I need to say and do tonight. And the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. It ever. And also selfishly.
So I think this is an indication of the disconnect that the left has with the broad majority of the population. They wrote their crude little jokes. They blamed MAGA, as they have continued to do since the event. Jimmy Kimmel had to walk it back because they misgauged the outrage. And when people started freaking out, they said, okay, damage control. What do we do? Oh, I know. We can use this to bury the Charlie Kirk story altogether. How much have you heard about Charlie Kirk since the Jimmy Kimmel story started dominating the media landscape? Not only that, but then they get to pin it on Donald Trump, as I mentioned last show. They get to talk about fascism and tyranny. They get to claim that it was the FCC. Donald Trump, through the FCC, put pressure on ABC and threatened to take away their broadcasting license. So they say, hey, Jimmy, we'll give you a couple of days off. Take a nice long weekend. We'll blow this up in the media because the MSN, mainstream media, is the uniparty. We'll get rid of the Charlie Kirk story. We'll create a whole bunch of publicity for the Jimmy Kimmel show. And then when you come back, it'll be a massive boon. Look at this. Jimmy Kimmel came back after being canceled on whatever day he was canceled. He came back. His 6-month, this is from CNN. Let's just play the video.
Huge, absolutely huge. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at YouTube views, Jimmy Kimmel Live video views. The 6-month median, the median video only gets 240,000. Look how many views Tuesday night's monologue already has. 6.7 million. That's over 25 times as large as the median Jimmy Kimmel video normally gets. And I was looking, it is by far the largest video in at least 6 months. So if Donald Trump's idea was to give Jimmy Kimmel more press and more viewership, he absolutely did so. Of course, I don't think that is what Donald Trump intended to do.
Do you have any sense beyond YouTube of just how big his appeal may have been? Like, a lot of people want
now they get
clearly
to say,
watch this
Streisand
from all
effect,
facets
Streisand.
of, not just in America, but this is from around the world.
That's exactly
Oh,
right.
my
So we
God.
got this 6.7 million. I will note that number is up already about 700,000 from the last.
Google updated. So again, I have to act like a freaking retard trying to pull off this show. Because they can't just leave it alone. They can't just make something work fine. They can't just take something that works fine and let it be fine. Constant updates. You know why constant updates? Because constant terms of service updates. And then what do? You just agree to it, like that episode of South Park, and then they can sell your data to 50 more companies. A lot more to come. Not in this show, but a lot more to come in that regard. So Jimmy Kimmel's back, and I don't think any of us should be surprised. It was a perfect opportunity to create a bunch of outrage because, of course, the left was overjoyed when conservatives were censored. But they're appalled that the left would be censored. And I'm honestly, I'm a little bit skeptical on why exactly this has been going on. Because it seems very suspicious that he would say something so innocuous and then become canceled, and then this massive outrage. People were saying they were going to cancel their Disney subscription because, of course, Disney owns ABC. And as we've covered last week, Jimmy Kimmel's ratings were struggling. He was not doing great. I mean, he's been on the air for 22 years. I think maybe people are just kind of over it. But his contract doesn't end till next year. They couldn't fire him. If they fired him, they'd have to pay him for nothing. Pay him for no content. What a dream job. So they feigned outrage and gave conservatives the opportunity to sort of, I don't know, whatever, force some crow down the throats of the left. Here's a nice montage beginning with good old Jimmy of the left celebrating all of this, the conservatives that were censored and have been censored over the last 5 to 7 years, namely Donald Trump.
Trump has been suspended from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and even Snapchat. But don't worry, Mr. President, there are still plenty of apps you do have access to. You still have Spotify to drown out the sound of millions of people cheering as you leave. Google, Apple, and Amazon removed the Parler app from their platforms. Parler is where all the right-wingers gather to post QAnon nonsense and misspelled.
Parler was a conservative news social media platform, is how it started. And this is the reason that I stopped using Amazon altogether because Parler was hosted on Amazon Web Services. And Amazon used their power to basically destroy Parler on the back of more propaganda claiming that people used it to plan January 6th, which is completely unfounded accusation. And the left celebrated that as well.
The word parlor. Trumpers are complaining bitterly that they're being silenced. In fact, they won't shut up about being silenced.
I love having Donald Trump off Twitter, not to mention all the other toxic racists and conspiracy theorists that have been booted off.
Oh, was this Seth Meyer and now Stephen Colbert?
Damn! A lifetime Twitter ban has got a sting. They took away his precious. Twitter isn't the only social media site that wants nothing to do with our president. He's also been banned or restricted from a bevy of other platforms, including Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Reddit, and even Twitch. What are you waiting for, Pornhub? It's not a coincidence. It's a consequence. I know it's hard for you to recognize it because you've never faced one before.
Oh, please, leftist. Please tell me about consequences for actions. Please tell me more about the consequences of your actions.
Lifetime ban.
Jimmy Fallon.
Trump's basically the Pete Rose of social media. Right now, Trump's phone is stuffed into a pile of rice after being drenched with tears. In addition to Twitter, Trump has been banned or restricted from Apple, Facebook, Instagram.
Well, I thought we'd take a quick look outside
Conan.
and see, has the world changed since our president has been banned from Twitter?
What awful content. Now we have, what's this guy's name? Corden, Sean Corden, James Corden.
Do after the acquisition goes through is lift the permanent Twitter ban on Donald Trump. I tell you what, banning Trump.
No, we love censorship. The left loves censorship as long as it's the censorship of people they don't agree with. But when it's one of their best, I don't know. He got 129,000 views in the key demo, which is under 50. People under 50. I guess that's who the broadcasting corporations care about reaching. Nobody cares about the show. Nobody watches the show, evidently. They tuned in by the millions to watch his monologue. And since then, I think the reported numbers were that he's down 70%, whatever, back closer to where he was before. No doubt there's messages going through many message boards saying, hey, come on, everybody. We got to unite against fascism and tune into Jimmy Kimmel. But on that note, he is a nightly show, which just kind of affirms my belief that this really, it wasn't that bad. You heard what he said. And I guess for the sake of defending Jimmy Kimmel a little bit, because I really do believe that he's just a puppet. These aren't his real beliefs. But he cares about his legacy. He wants to have, a good product. He always talks about the people that he employs and he wants to take care of them and make sure they have a job. Okay, fine. You're still a propaganda mouthpiece. So again, why the outrage? Oh, because free speech. Yeah, the left loves free speech, right? That's why they kill the people who say things they don't like, because they love free speech so much. Did you know that's why the ABC affiliates didn't air the Charlie Kirk memorial like they said they would? They said, we're so mad at Jimmy Kimmel for spreading the anti-Charlie Kirk propaganda that we're going to air Charlie Kirk's memorial or some sort of Charlie Kirk memorial programming in place of the Jimmy Kimmel show. That's how they justified preempting the Jimmy Kimmel show, saying, oh, no, sorry, we're not going to run the Jimmy Kimmel show on ABC 7 because we have Charlie Kirk stuff to air instead. Well, they didn't do that. because they were threatened with violence. By the way, can I just say, I'm proud of us, the right, not even the right, the sober-minded individuals, the non-whack jobs. But I'm even proud of the far-right extremist whack jobs that haven't responded with violence yet, which is actually kind of affirms my theory that the violence from the left is being fostered, facilitated, financed. And they are. We have more proof. Wall Street Apes posted on X. Paid protester identified and tracked to a Democrat activist NGO that organizes protests. Nate Friedman found their tax documents and discovers he's being paid $75,000 per year to protest. This NGO also has financial ties to the CCP. The proof of the document is shown in this video. If you'd like to see the video, it's streaming where most videos are streamed. Rumble, X, YouTube, and Twitch. Check it out if you'd like.
Bro, they're paying you $80K a year to protest? Is that wrong? Is that wrong?
I'm exposing one paid protester for every 100 followers I get. Now, you remember David
clout
Chung,
chaser.
the paid protester that stopped one of my last interviews? Well, he saw my expose on him, and I confronted him on his salary right to his face.
Yo, what's up, David? Good to see you again, man.
He won't shake his hand.
The last video? No, I'm good. What did you think of it?
No comment.
Did I get anything wrong?
No comment.
You got no comment? What? How are they paying you $80K a year?
No comment.
Are you gonna say no comment to everything?
Yep.
Yeah. Except for that one. Funny joke. 3 minutes more, this goes on.
Sir, before seeking exile in Cuba at these protests. Now, the police do their job, but very quickly he's let out and back on the street to protest. Now, I'm sure the police are no fans of David, and David is no fan of the police. Here you can see David Chung modeling a shirt idolizing Assata Shakur, who is an activist who murdered a police officer before seeking exile in Cuba. The People's Forum, the company that he works for, is the main organizer for anti-Israel.
This has the Frankfurt School all over it. Look it up. Useful information. David Chung. What do you think what would happen to David Chung if he was doing this in China? If he was a paid protester trying to influence political policy? Would he be released after posting bail, free to go back out on the streets of Beijing to foment further insurrection against the CCP? Something tells me that David Chung would be would have a hood thrown over his head, be pulled into an unmarked van and never heard from again if he was trying to do this in communist China. So the right is calling Democrats domestic terrorists. Understandably so. I mean, they are. Well, I don't know. What would you call that? Useful idiot? Useful idiots? But aside from the paid protesters, the left in general, at least the amplified left that we see on social media, celebrating terrorism and assassinations. You know who else does that? These third world terrorist strongholds. Yeah, they build statues for terrorists. They pay stipends to families whose men have died in terrorist attacks. This is why we have violence. Because there are forces actively working to corrupt people against their own country. That's why we have people attacking ICE. Here's JD Vance on the topic.
I don't know if you all have followed the news, and we're still learning a little bit about it. But what we know is that in Dallas, Texas, an ICE facility, an Immigrations and Customs Enforcement facility, was opened fire upon by a violent left-wing extremist, a person who wrote anti-ICE messaging on their bullets. And there's some evidence that we have that's not yet public, but we know this person was politically motivated. They were politically motivated to go after law enforcement. They were politically motivated to go after people who are enforcing our border. And I think that is the most disgusting thing. I don't know if you all have followed the news. We're still.
So JD Vance actually got in a tussle on social media with some people over this who are trying to claim, no, it wasn't a leftist. It wasn't a leftist, guys. We promise. We promise. It was just some, like, they don't ever want to claim these assassins, the people that they're motivating to commit these acts of violence. You know what I would say to them? You know what I would say to these violent psychopath leftists is, hey, buddy, you're doing all this work for a cause that doesn't accept you. They won't support you. They try to say that you're playing for the other side. I mean, maybe that's what the left considers de-escalation, turning the temperature down, trying to send a message to their would-be assassins that they aren't welcome in the movement. They will not be accepted. They will actually be associated with the other side. So what do you think is going to happen to you on the left? Should your revolution be accomplished? Are they going to celebrate their efforts? Are they going to build statues for you? Are they going to give you your own fiefdom to rule over? To have subjects? No, you're going in the gulag, son. Just like David Chung with the CCP. You can't be a revolutionary in an authoritarian country. They can't risk it. The authoritarians can't risk having revolutionaries run around, starting counter-revolutions against the power structure that they worked so hard to install. With the fruits of your efforts, no, they will betray you and line you up against the wall, right next to the people that you have been fighting against. It's a pretty stark indication of what they have in store for everybody. See, we're all of us, the deplorables on the right, the extremists on the left. We're all in the same boat. We don't even know it. But FBI Director Kash Patel did confirm what many were questioning after JD Vance's announcement. Open, fired upon. Okay, nerd. Kash Patel writes, Dallas FBI and FBI HQ have been working 24/7 to seize devices, exploit data, and process writings obtained on location and in the subject's person, residence, bedroom. This FBI is committed to providing timely updates as promised. The perp downloaded a document titled, quote, Dallas County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, containing a list of DHS facilities. He conducted multiple searches of ballistics and the, quote, Charlie Kirk shot video between September 23rd and 24th. Between August 19th and 24th, he searched apps that tracked the presence of ICE agents. One of the handwritten notes recovered read, quote, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? Further accumulated evidence to this point indicates a high degree of pre-attack planning. The FBI will provide further updates when available. Hopefully, this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? That's the agenda, isn't it? To strike fear. It's the definition of terrorism. They want to make people afraid to do their jobs, to uphold their oath to the Constitution, to keep us safe from enemies, foreign and domestic. And all this violence has been incited. Mario Knopfel posts on X. The White House releases the list of political agitators. A deadly assault on an ICE field office in Dallas is now being tied to years of inflammatory rhetoric from top Democrats. Officials say a gunman with, quote, anti-ICE ammunition, of which there's a picture online you can view, specifically targeted federal agents in a politically motivated attack. The administration points to a staggering 1,000% surge in assaults on ICE personnel, arguing the escalation mirrors the language of elected leaders. From calling agents, quote, Gestapo to, quote, slave patrols, the White House warns these labels have crossed into dangerous incitement and have released an expansive list, starting with Tim Walz, who smeared ICE as the modern-day Gestapo. Gavin Newsom likened ICE to, quote, secret police, calling them authoritarian and proclaiming a right to push back. And AOC was quoted yesterday or this morning saying on a separate topic, fight fire with fire. The violent rhetoric continues from the left. J.B. Pritzker, governor of Chicago, Illinois, claimed the country is becoming Nazi Germany because ICE is, quote, grabbing people off the street and disappearing them, and then reappearing them in the country they came from, which is where they belong. Rep. Robin Kelly smeared ICE as the Gestapo and a betrayal. Jasmine Crockett compared ICE to slave patrols. Sylvia Garcia referred to ICE as thugs. Dalia Ramirez attacked ICE as a terror force. Pramila Jayapal called ICE agents deranged, accused them of kidnapping, and said resistance to ICE is inspiring. Rashida Tlaib said ICE is, quote, terrorizing our communities and turning our country into a fascist police state. Ayanna Pressley said ICE is terrorizing our communities. And there's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, another 24. Another 24 examples of our quote unquote elected leaders smearing law enforcement from doing the job they've been hired to do. And they just lie. They just lie and lie and lie. And you see what the results of this deceitful propaganda is. Gunther Eagleman writes on X, OMG, MSNBC is now saying that white supremacy is the inspiration for the suspect that shot up the Dallas ICE facility.
Of those attacks.
Chris, coming back to rooftop trend, coming back to engraving trend, what do you make of that? Does that suggest people are being inspired? Are you worried about copycats?
Yes. I don't know if the rooftop trend is going to be a thing. I mean, it could just be coincidental that the best vantage point just happened to be elevated positions in this case. But you know, people emulating this kind of attack is certainly a concern. The irony with the writing, the first time we really saw that was Brenton Tarrant in the Christchurch shooting in a mosque in New Zealand, and he was a fierce white supremacists and neo-Nazi.
Weren't the videos of that guy from him actually from like his body camera, the Christchurch shooter, walking around on the streets? The point is, they're trying to tie all of this to the right. And the reason that they're doing that is because they want to start a civil war. That's the goal. I'm convinced. And I don't think Donald Trump is helping. I don't know what he's supposed to do. But he's designated Antifa a terrorist organization. Now they're going into cities and, for all intents and purposes, doing battle with Antifa cells or paid protesters, whichever you'd like to call them. But be heartened knowing that the public is on your side. There is majority support. And the left will use every tool available to make you think that this is a 50-50 issue and that thousands upon thousands of people, 70 million people voted for Kamala Harris. At least half of the voters are against the things that Donald Trump is doing. It's not true. 70 million people did not vote for Kamala Harris. And hundreds of thousands of leftists do not support illegal immigration and the controlled demolition of the country. Another bit of good news is all of this is happening much too fast for the mainstream media to keep up the narrative that this is all coming from the right. An ABC affiliate in Sacramento was shot up, presumably, allegedly, because of the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel, Colin Rugrights, the man who shot up the AB affiliate in Sacramento, following the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel, has been identified as Anibal Hernandez Santana. It's definitely a MAGA extremist. I think most MAGA extremists are called Hernandez or Santana. An X account that appears to belong to Hernandez Santana is full of anti-Trump posts, as reported by Variety. Yeah, he's still probably MAGA. The man, 64, previously worked as a legislative director for the California Federation of Teachers. That settles it. All the MAGA extremists come from the California Federation of Teachers, the outlet reported. All right, I'm editorializing. Quote, the authoritarian oligarchy is now complete. CBS caving, big law firms in D.C., the subservience FBI and AG, university president stepping down, fanboys, SCOTUS, public radio, ICE goons. We are going to have to, quote, fight like hell, end quote. The account that appears to belong to him posted in July. Sidebar, I'm pretty sure all of this stuff can be faked by now. So keep that in mind when considering whether or not the globalists are trying to foment civil war in the United States. Should we watch the video? Let's watch the video from NBC, a local NBC affiliate in Sacramento.
A 64-year-old man named Hernandez Santana has been arrested as the suspect in the shooting that led to an investigation here at ABC 10 in Sacramento along Broadway. And as the sun has risen this morning, you can see for yourself plywood over one of the windows in the lobby there. Now, earlier in the day on Friday, police were called here in response to shots fired from outside the ABC 10's building. No one was injured despite the building being occupied at the time. 3 bullet holes were seen in the window on the building's lobby. And that's when the investigation began. Later the same day, KCRA3 saw police in the River Park neighborhood, including SWAT teams. A witness at the scene reported seeing a man tackled and then taken into custody. Sacramento police thanked the FBI for providing resources in its investigation and have asked anyone with further information to contact their department. A 64-year-old man.
There's also been a bomb threat at RFK Jr.'s house. There was a shooting at a restaurant in North Carolina, and I think 3 people were killed at American Fish Company in Southport, North Carolina. At Info Room writes on X, deadly boat shooting rocks Southport Marina. 11 victims confirmed. Southport, NC was shattered Saturday night after a gunman opened fire from a white center console boat at American Fish Company in the yacht basin, leaving 11 people shot. The attacker fled up the intracoastal waterway toward Oak Island on boat. Police, SBI, ATF, and Brunswick County officials are leading a massive manhunt. They thought they caught a person. What was his name? Nigel Rex something? Nigel Max Edge. There it is. Nigel Max Edge. If that doesn't sound like a made-up bad guy, I don't know what does. He was arrested and charged. However, now it appears that there is exculpatory evidence for this individual, even though he's a real nutcracker. Remains at large is the latest news we have so far. And as of this morning, there's been another shooting at a church in Michigan. And the left will deny, or at least dissemble, obfuscate, that the terrorist attacks, the most recent, I mean, maybe terrorist attacks is sensational. But the recent violence was committed by leftists. They won't admit it. Because if they admit it, then they have to take responsibility for it. Because they know that the right is going to throw all of this stuff in their face. Because it's their fault. And it's exactly what they want. They're getting exactly what they want. And maybe the useful idiots are finally starting to realize that they're useful idiots. And they don't want to believe it. That seems like a completely reasonable, psychological position to take. Wait a minute, this can't be my fault, can it? I just keep thinking about the VMAT2 gene. Do you remember that? Do you remember that video? I've probably played it on this podcast a few times because it's really fascinating. And I dug it up again, and I'm excited to share it with you now.
Who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalists, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach. What you see
here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So
how does this stuff usually work? Let's think about COVID for a second. When the public was outraged about gain-of-function research, the common response was, well, we take the virus and we synthesize it and we experiment with it so we can come up with a vaccine, guys. Come on, don't be mad. We're trying to help. We're trying to do good stuff. We have the virus that creates the disease, and we use that so that we can create the vaccine that gets rid of the problem. Okay. This presentation was done allegedly at the Department of Defense for half a dozen, 8, 10 people. There's not a lot of people in the room, just full disclosure. And people thought it was Bill Gates for a long time. And it looked and sounded like Bill Gates. Now, of course, the videos have all been refreshed and updated and cleaned up. They're a little easier to view. They're a little easier to hear. And it seems less like Bill Gates now. But still kind of a lot like Bill Gates. He, of course, wouldn't want to be connected to this. He would want to distance himself from this kind of thing because people know what he's up to. They know he meddles. And why wouldn't someone develop a virus or some kind of injectable technology that could radicalize a population? What if they released a virus that radicalized people with a certain genetic structure? And what if those people were so radicalized, so activated, and so violent, they were able to overthrow an entire government, bring an entire country to its knees? And then all you had to do was release another virus to subdue the expression of this extremist gene, to calm everybody down and settle nicely into the new control structure that you've designed for them. How valuable would that technology be? I mean, that stuff right out of every espionage movie that you've ever watched, and video games, and all kinds of fictional media. Oh, yeah, we turn the population into zombies and then they overthrow the government, but it leaves all the infrastructure intact, right? Because that's what we want. We don't want to take over a country and then have to rebuild all the roads and bridges and airports and power plants that we destroyed in the kinetic war that we needed to take over the country. Let's figure out a better way to do it. I know. Remember when that nerd came into the DOD and gave us that presentation on the VMAT2 gene? Let's try that. Call him up. Get Bill Gates. Get Bill Gates in here. And of course, you can't talk about Bill Gates without talking about the pie to the face moment, right? Have you all seen this video? If not, you got to get on X or Rumble or Twitch or YouTube if you must. I choose Rumble. Get on Rumble and check out this video.
Gates was momentarily and understandably shaken, but he was not injured. The hit squad piled on with 2 more pies before one of them was wrestled to the ground and arrested. The others were... Gates was momentarily and understandably shaken.
So he's walking into, I got the whole backstory because I'm just a curious person and I really wanted to know like what is going on here. He's approaching a building, he's walking up some steps, and a guy comes out from behind a pillar and just boom, blasts him in the face with a pie. And he's so like it's
Gates was
pathetic.
momentarily and understandably
His
shaken, but
reaction
he was
is
not
so
injured.
pathetic. He's
The hit squad piled on with 2 more pies before one of them
and then
was
2 more
wrestled to the ground
come
and
and try
arrested. The others
to pie him in the face, but by that time security
momentarily
has
and understandably
surrounded him and
shaken,
is
but he was
making
not
sure. I
injured.
mean, like, what's
The
going
hit
through his
squad
head right
piled
now?
on
Like,
with
it's,
two
oh
more
my,
pies
it's
before one of them
anthrax
was
pie. It's got Ebola in it. Something. Why? Because that's what he would do. He would throw Ebola pies at people. He's trying to throw Ebola pies at the entire world. And I think, I mean, I hate to put it in these terms, but I think that's probably where his hatred of the human race began. So I didn't double check Grok, but I did ask him about the context of this ordeal. And what came up, I thought, was really interesting. The pie in the face incident involving Bill Gates occurred on February 4th, 1998 in Brussels, Belgium, amid heightened antitrust scrutiny of Microsoft by the European Union. Fair play, EU. Gates, then Microsoft's chairman and CEO, was targeted as a symbol of corporate power and the, quote, capitalist status quo by activists who viewed the company as a monopoly stifling innovation. The attack was, which, I mean, well, here we are, 20 years later. Was it a monopoly stifling innovation? The prank also had a commercial angle, as footage of the event was quickly offered for sale to media outlets, with some networks bidding up to $4,000 for it. I wonder how much $4,000 was worth in 1998. I gotta know. I'm sorry. How much was, I think I can just use a K to speed it up. Not interested. Oh, come on, bro. Just give me almost 8,000. So it's almost that. I don't think that's right. The dollar times, I think that's propaganda. Because I've done that with my wages. And my wages have dropped $13 an hour compared to 2018. I guess that's not quite half, but you feel it. Don't you feel it? We all feel it. And these are the kind of people. Bill Gates, Larry Fink, and others. Jeff Bezos, probably Elon Musk too. They've just been plundering, pillaging and plundering. Till now they realize they've really screwed up and they've got to overthrow the government to cover up for their crimes. Back to the context of the video, Bill Gates was walking from his car toward a conference hall where he was scheduled to deliver a speech to approximately 450 Belgian business and government leaders. The pie was thrown by members of a Belgian anarchist group led by Noel Godin, a writer, critic, and self-proclaimed entarteur, pie thrower, who has targeted over 25 high-profile figures since 1969, including philosopher Bernard-Henri Lévy, multiple times. So we've gone from throwing pies to throwing rifle rounds. And I would assume that that person's politics were more on the conservative side. Perhaps not. The sides have sort of switched positions now. The left being pro-war, pro-globalist, pro-corporate oligarchy, monopoly. And the right is taking the opposite position. Again, with the new government, the narratives have shifted. I noticed it when Biden took office. The people on the right began crying about the things that the people on the left were crying about during the first Trump administration. And now we're talking about censoring this the hate speech from the left. I don't know what option we have, honestly. Do we want to keep our country? Do you think Donald Trump will make it right after the insurrectionists have been rounded up and imprisoned? Or do you think this is the end? Are we in for new governing documents, a new currency, a new economic system when this is all said and done? James Comey was indicted this week. Maybe something will happen. As you know, the news about Russiagate and Epstein and all of this stuff that we were talking about in 2018 is all coming back up again. But still nothing has happened. Well, finally, James Comey was indicted for lying to Congress, perjuring himself, false statements, which tells me that's really the only thing they have evidence of. But Pam Bondi went on the warpath. She's got to be tough because basically Donald Trump said, we're going to fire you for all intents and purposes. Remember, we covered it last week and he deleted the tweet. I'm assuming because Pam Bondi said, please delete the tweet. I'll be tough. I promise.
Whether you're a former FBI director, whether you're a former
let me start it over with some volume.
Whether you're a former FBI director, whether you're a former head of an intel community, whether you are a current state or local elected official, whether you're a billionaire funding organizations to try to keep Donald Trump out of office, everything is on the table. We will investigate you and we will end the weaponization. No longer will there be a two-tier system of justice. And we are working hand in hand, Director Patel and I, Todd Blanche, with our incredible intel community, Tulsi Gabbard, John Radcliffe, going nonstop around the clock. People will be held accountable.
That's probably the best media appearance I've seen from her. Good stuff, Pam. Go get him. Do something. It's almost October. And it is actually pretty cool. We got Jim Comey like on the eve of the statute of limitations going into effect on the things that he's been indicted for. Just right in the nick of time. So maybe I'm not the only one, but he better not be the last indictment. Stephen Miller went on Fox News and basically called out everyone that is responsible for the condition of our country thus far.
Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Obama, Monaco, all conspired together, all worked together to try to sabotage, undermine, unravel the democratic institutions and structures of this country. The Russiagate hoax, the Russiagate conspiracy, and all of the assaults against our liberties that went with it, the pre-dawn raids, the handcuffing of innocent Americans, the espionage against President Trump's campaign and staff, the removal of his national security advisor, one fake indictment, one fake charge after another, the special counsel, all of it was a unrelenting attempt to overthrow the government the American people voted for. I cannot find words harsh enough to condemn the conduct of these conspirators, these insurrectionists. Comey.
And of course, John Brennan, former CIA director, is involved. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. They're all involved in this stuff. And allegedly, evidence has been uncovered. I mean, is something actually going to happen? Are people actually going to be held accountable? John Solomon reported on the other party's involved on his show, Just the News, No Noise, on Real America's Voice. John Solomon, one of the good ones. He's one of the few true journalists that we have left, attempting to do honest reporting. But of course, he's a right-wing extremist, according to everyone on the left.
A short while ago, Just the News obtained this email. This is a very important email. It comes from the former CIA director, Mike Morrell. Yes, the guy that organized that letter from the 51 intelligence professionals who tried to fake you into thinking that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when it wasn't. It is between him and John Brennan, one of the signatories. You know who John Brennan is? He was Obama's CIA director, right? He's the guy that told Obama, hey, Hillary Clinton is doing a dirty trick on Donald Trump called Russia collusion. Well, this is just before the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's laptop is flinging out there. This is what Mike Morrell, former CIA director, tells his successor, John Brennan, hey, sign this letter because I'm, quote, trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, a talking point to push back on Trump on this issue. A man with a security clearance, a man with the title of CIA director, knew that he wasn't creating an intelligence product, a mere civic duty with 51 people. He was trying to create a political moment. Damning evidence. We'll try to find out if Congress has this letter, but this is a very important piece. It is the ultimate proof that what went out on that letter was a political dirty trick coordinated with the Biden campaign.
Because this was one of their responses. This was their core defense when all of this was going on. I mean, Dan Bongino wrote 3 books on this topic. This information has been available. But their key defense was pointing fingers at each other, the FBI and the CIA. The FBI said, the CIA told us that this was the real thing. And then the CIA said, no, the FBI reported this to us, and then we reported it to other people in the FBI. We aren't the one. We aren't the ones. Don't blame us. It was the CIA. No, it was the FBI. No, wait, it was somebody. But definitely wasn't us. We didn't do anything wrong. We were trying to defend democracy. We're the FBI. That's our job. But then it was released this week from the Blaze. Oh, get your pop-up out of my life. Headline, FBI had 274 plainclothes agents. Hold on. The FBI had 274 plainclothes agents embedded in January 6 crowds. Congressional source says. What were they doing there? The FBI has acknowledged it had 274 plainclothes agents in the massive crowds on January 6th. More than 4.5 years after questions were raised about the level of FBI involvement that day. So what were they told? What were their instructions? Would Christopher Wray or Bill Barr have instructed them to incite? Of course they, I mean, how can you think anything else based on what you already know? There's video going around of Capitol police officers talking about how they were set up. Can I find one? If I can find one, I'll play it for you. There's video of Nancy Pelosi pretending that she was responsible for not having more. Oh, my fat fingers did a bad job. Claiming that she was responsible. I mean, how could you believe that? Like, you remember that video? They're riding in their car. Nancy Pelosi and her daughter are riding in a car. Her daughter, who was essentially responsible for filming the documentary that they were going to make. And everybody was like, see, Nancy Pelosi said she did it. Give me a break. Her daughter is going to stab her in the back. by recording her saying that and then releasing it. It's all staged. It's all theater. There are tons of new videos and documents out. I don't think that's the video. No. Regarding January 6th and what happened. Boy, that's interesting that the video that I saw yesterday is not popping up. It's probably just my search parameters. I'm being a boomer. Forgive me. Of course it was a setup. Of course this is what they wanted. So therefore, by reasonable deduction, the FBI knew what they were supposed to do. I mean, what? Explain. What else could they possibly have been there to do? Is there a record of their instructions? Emails? Freedom of information? Why were there no whistleblowers? 274. It was reported 75 at one point. That's what I have written down. And not a single one. Not a single one independently went to the press to say, hey, they tried to overthrow the government. The FBI staged a coup on the back of Republican January 6th protesters. I mean, doesn't that seem like what happened? How do we get out of this? How do we get out of this without completely suspending the Constitution? How do we get rid of these people? Born here or not, they're the enemies of our country. They're the enemies of our way of life. Not everyone you see protesting in the street. I'm talking about the people financing it. I'm talking about the people in the colleges. Last week, we played this video of this college girl. She's talking about her, what was her, I guess we'll watch it again. It's
I might be getting canceled for this, but I'm kind of pissed off. Anyway, I'm a senior in college and I'm in international public relations. And
International Public Relations from the University of North Georgia. And she goes through and shows us in the book that Christians are referred to as a white supremacist group. Well, this week we learned more. Here is a woman talking about what happened to her son, 6 years old. Wall Street Apes writes, this woman's 6-year-old son, quote, expressed conservative values in his classroom.
My son, 6 years old, was prohibited from sitting next to his friend on the school bus because a parent objected to my perspectives on book challenges. My older son's history teacher allowed students to label him a Nazi file simply for his interest in history and participation in ROTC. She later nominated my son as the most likely to become a dictator and had his classmates vote on
She's holding up a certificate that was awarded to this 6-year-old child.
On it and try to force him to the front of the class to receive the certificate, which he rightly refused, all because of his conservative values and our perspectives. Thank you.
6 years old. They're doing this to 6-year-olds. Who hired this person? This is how I feel when we talk about violent law enforcement. Who hired these people? When are we going to start holding those people accountable? This corruption has reared its head again in the form of, what is this, high school? Let's watch the video posted by @LightOnLiberty. Bridget Fertig. Nope, not sharing it. Ha ha. It's my first time. The real first time was not my fault.
Unfortunately, I have stumbled across more proof of indoctrination taking place at the university I currently attend, and it's not even a little subtle. I mean, this one's a doozy. Get ready. I am currently taking a quiz for my argumentation and advocacy course. Mind you, this is an online course I'm taking through my university. We're going to scroll down here. This is question 4 on the quiz. We'll read it together. Which of the following is a warrant statement? Mr. Trump's hate speech is comparable to that of Adolf Hitler. Mr. Trump is a crooked millionaire. Mr. Trump's anti-immigration rhetoric will lead to public support to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. And Mr. Trump's supporters are angry at politicians. Now, in the same quiz,
all right, I'll let her keep going.
There's a question about Hillary Clinton. Let's go ahead and take a look at that one. Which of the following is a warrant statement? Mrs. Clinton is a trustworthy politician. Mrs. Clinton has a long track record in social issues and foreign policy. Since Mrs. Clinton is a female, she is likely to receive an overwhelming amount of support from voters. So Trump's question is comparing him to Adolf Hitler, and Hillary's is saying she's a trustworthy politician. And if you're wondering, the quote-unquote correct answer was Mr. Trump's anti-immigration rhetoric will lead to public support to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Yeah.
That's not it, though. She skipped a question. There's a third question in between here. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm really blowing it.
Likely to receive an overwhelming amount of support from voters. So Trump's question is comparing him to Adolf Hitler.
There it is. No.
And
oh, she's moving too fast. There is another.
Hillary
I'm really failing.
She's a trustworthy politician.
I'm trying to pause it when she's scrolling.
And if you're wondering, the quote-unquote correct.
And when I zoom in on it, it's blurry. Here we go. Got it. Okay. Oh, whew. That was hard. I'm sweating. This question is which of the following is a warrant statement question? First possible answer. Female voters are expected to support the first female U.S. president. There is a special place in hell for women who don't help each other. Mrs. Clinton is not a communist. Or Mrs. Clinton supports Wall Street. This is a test. This is an online test for university students. How sick, how depraved. And this is why I point to the Frankfurt School with this kind of thing. They left Nazi Germany, or I should say, Nazi-era Europe, and fled to the United States. And began, I mean, think about it. What was college like 20 years after the end of World War II? It was flower power, anti-Vietnam War protests. Chaos from college kids. Almost like as soon as the Frankfurt School got to the United States, they started corrupting the children. Then 20 years later, they're anti-government communists. And we see the results. It's right in front of us. This is the kind of radicalization that leads to what's happening in Portland and other leftist cities right now. People are ready to go to war with the government based on no facts. I mean, maybe some people know the facts and they're fine with continuing to go to war with the government. But most of it is based on propaganda. I guarantee you, all of the people that are protesting, the National Guard, protecting federal law enforcement, have got to be brainwashed paid protesters. Or Tylenol enjoyers. Did you hear that? Did you hear about that one? Apparently, and I'm still skeptical on this actual reasoning. Apparently, Tylenol causes autism. And the simple explanation is, if a baby has Tylenol shortly after receiving a vaccine, it increases what I think they called glutathione levels to harmful levels that damage the child's brain. That's how I understand it. So this tells me you can either have Tylenol or you can have vaccines. But if you have them both together, then you get an autistic human being that is reliant on the healthcare industry for its entire life. Exactly what the healthcare industry wants for all of us. But of course, immediately after RFK made this announcement, RFK and Donald Trump, videos of leftard pregnant women taking Tylenol and defiance were all over the internet. And I just can't help but wonder if that's real. It just seems really convenient that suddenly all of these videos popped up all at once. And then there was a story following about some poor woman who ate a bunch of Tylenol, gave herself toxicity, and was apparently expected to die in the hospital. But you know why? You know why this is? I mean, assuming that it's all legitimate. It's because their leftard moms told them, I took Tylenol all the time when I was pregnant with you, and you turned out fine. Except, Mom, your daughter is clearly retarded. Because she's eating fistfuls of Tylenol while she's pregnant with the baby, all for the sake of sticking it to Donald Trump. Tell me that's not the definition of retarded. No offense to actual retarded people. I would never call a retarded person a retard. Unless they liked it. Now, finally, wrapping things up today, we got Trump at the UN. And we'll just kick it off with a little bit of his speech.
No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before. There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen, but she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. Just went on. Thank you.
Yeah, because he said, and I think he made good on his promise. When the teleprompter wasn't working, suspiciously so, he pulled out his notes and decided that he was going to go 40 minutes longer than intended. to, I suppose, punish the person responsible for shutting off the teleprompter. Because, of course, then they turned it back on. As if to say, no, please, wrap it up. We don't want to hear from you. Because Trump just trashed the UN for an hour. And people are making a big deal of the escalator thing. Maybe justifiably so, maybe not. Someone tried to play a prank. They should definitely be fired. Other people are calling this a massive security failure, and I think they may be onto something. Because it has been said that one of the first things you do as an assassin, I mean, I don't know where they get this information. They went to assassin school or something. One of the first things you do is stop the momentum of the target. Because it's easier to hit a stationary target than a moving target, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense. I don't know if that's what was going on here. People are saying, oh, this was a dry run for another assassination attempt. That seems a little bit dramatic, but do we want to risk it? You know what? I think we should close the UN and use this big building to hold illegal immigrants while we wait for the courts to obstruct Donald Trump's immigration policy and, I don't know, offer them to whichever country happens to be the highest bidder. It's crazy. It's just crazy that we're taking these migrants and trying to send them back to their country of origin. And the country of origin says, no, we don't want them back. Okay, then I guess we'll send them to Syria, or we'll send them to South Sudan. We'll send them anywhere but here. I agree with that. Anywhere but here is right. Get rid of them. I don't think that's an extreme position to take. If you're here committing actual crimes, and I'm talking beyond the crime of just crossing the border illegally, I do agree with the people that say they're already a criminal as soon as they step across the border. Okay, agreed. But I do struggle with the concept of sending someone back to a random country where they know no one, where they don't speak the language, and they have really no methods to creating any kind of stable environment for themselves. But again, I come back to, what are we supposed to do? These are criminals, insurrectionists, terrorists, enemy warfighters. Do we want them in this country when the left decides that they're finally ready to arm up, to militarize, to start patrolling the streets with their AR-15s? We got to get as many out of here as fast as possible. We have to cut the insurrection off at the knees before it can get momentum. And I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I feel like we may have to violate some people's rights to get this accomplished. And here we are. Are we really justifying authoritarian tactics in the United States? Do we have a choice? Let me know in the comments. I'd really like to know. I am really honestly struggling to come up with ideas on how we actually overcome this tremendous problem that's facing us, while maintaining some grasp on how we will return to the constitutional republic that we've come from. I'm sure I'll come up with more ideas. So make sure you tune in again next Sunday at 11 a.m. is when we like to go live on the live streaming platforms. If you've watched the video thus far, thank you so much for joining me. There is an audio-only version available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all of your other favorite podcast platforms. Please look that up, subscribe to that channel, share it around, leave me a nice rate and review. I would very much appreciate it. And don't forget to leave me a comment, smash the like button, hit subscribe. It's crazy how fast your content is amplified. I left the dumbest content on the dumbest comments on somebody's video on X yesterday, or I think it was just yesterday. And people loved it and it blew up. And I got a bunch more likes than I'm accustomed to receiving. And that just affirms, it's not the point about how cool I am for getting likes on my content. It's meant to illustrate. This is how content goes viral. If you like it, please like it, share it, subscribe to it. I'm at earthvox just about everywhere, or the earthvox podcast. If you want to reach out, you can find me, but the email address is therealearthvox@protonmail.com. And you can send me a voicemail if you'd like. I'd love to hear from you. 701-787-1121. I'll be back.